Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Lunar Eclipse Ritual for March 2024. I'm releasing this video a few days ahead of the actual lunar eclipse on March 25th at 3 a.m. Eastern Time, so you can be prepared to recognize the eclipse effects and handle anything they might throw at you to keep our footing and our heads and cultivate the intelligence of the two shadow planets. You can and should immerse yourself in this ritual again on the night of the lunar eclipse itself, and again any time in the 2 weeks between it and the solar eclipse on April 8th. I am also doing this a little bit differently this time because there is so much to unpack with both eclipses. It was turning into the ritual that ate Cincinnati. So I decided to release 2 videos instead of just one. The one you're watching right now is just the ritual and meditation. The second video is story time. In the past, I have used the story time as the middle section of the ritual to explain the nature of the energies we're dealing with during an eclipse, but I didn't want the ritual to run too long. You will want to watch the storytime video in addition to this ritual so you can understand why I'm using the metaphors I've chosen for the ritual. Both videos deal with the current lunar eclipse and give you a sneak preview of the solar eclipse so you can prepare for that one as well. I know a lot of you are really excited to see it, and maybe even planning to make a pilgrimage to somewhere along the path of totality as it sweeps up from Mexico through Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. And by the way, Cincinnati is just outside the path of totality. You'll want to travel a few miles north to Dayton, Pennsylvania, which is where I'll be, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and on out to New Brunswick and Newfoundland. But for right now, you're here with me, so take a deep breath. Let it out. Release all the cares of the day. Be here now. Take another deep breath. Breathe in the cold, fresh, green air of newly sprouting leaves, waking up your mind. And breathe out all of the confusion of trying to live up to expectations that may not be truly yours. Be here now. Take a third deep breath, deepest one yet. Breathe in warmth this time, the warmth of people you love, the warmth of your own hearth fire, the warmth of a delicious meal made from the foods you put by to last you through the winter just past. And breathe out. Nothing else matters but what you have right here in this moment. Be here now. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Great Ganesha, clear a path with your mighty elephant's trunk, that our human prayers may reach the ears of the gods. Ye lords of the watchtowers of the east, spirits of air, I do summon, stir, and call you up to witness this rite and guard our circle. Give us discernment to scrutinize our pains, to speak with kindness and detachment, and to tell false from true, seeing clearly through the smoke of illusion. Hail and welcome. Ye lords of the watchtowers of the south, spirits of fire, I do summon, stir, and call you up to witness this rite and guard our circle. Grant us true will, not driven by the past, to act with courage, not in hate or disgust, to act in faith, not fear, nor rash impulse. Hail and welcome. Ye lords of the watchtowers of the west, spirits of water, I do summon, stir, and call you up to witness this rite and guard our circle. Make our minds as still as a moonlit pond, that we may float upon a current of forgiveness, restoring truth and bliss to our souls. Hail and welcome. Ye lords of the watchtowers of the north, spirits of earth, I do summon, stir, and call you up to witness this rite and guard our circle. Help us to keep our heads in the midst of chaos, and sure-footed as we walk through shadows, standing firm and strong upon the stone. Hail and welcome. We call upon our ancestors, the mighty heroes of our blessed dead, your prejudices that were yet unhealed, your obsessions that were still unsatisfied. We have incarnated to fulfill them, but we may not know what drives us because of the veil of forgetfulness. Guide us now as we strive to restore karmic justice. Hail and welcome. We offer up a prayer for the descendants, those whom we love now, and those not yet born. You, in your turn, will have to correct the mistakes of your elders, as I did just now, driven by revulsions and obsessions of your own. Yet the solution may not be truly what you think. The discernment of air, the firmness of earth, the peace of water, the will of fire, these are your inheritance to restore karmic justice. Hail and welcome. We call upon the goddess of the moon and the god of the sun, the gods who are female and male, and we call upon the gods who are both and neither. Ketu, the tail of the dragon, and Rahu, the head of the dragon, the shapeshifters ever chasing the moon and sun through the heavens. Yet even in their disgust and obsession, Ketu and Rahu have much to teach us. Hail and welcome. The circle is cast. We are between the worlds, beyond the bounds of time and space. Om Aswadh vajaaya vidmahe, Soola Hastaaya Dhiimahi, Ketu prachodayat. Let us meditate on him who has a horse in his flag, he who has a trident in his hand. Give us higher intellect, and let Ketu illuminate our minds and understanding. Om Ketu, you are enigmatic and a mystic, cryptic, telepathic, and eccentric. Seeing all, you are psychic and esoteric. You live in a cave deep underground, freedom-loving, the human spirit unbound. All day and night you live on sacred ground. Mysterious, your treasures are locked in secrecy. Your home is where you are in mendicancy, and the treasure in your heart is privacy. Om Dragon's Tail, the world thinks you are insane, because you constantly dwell upon the arcane, until your words remove their mortal chain. Inspiration, the fruit of renunciation, so humble no one expects emancipation. O keeper of the gate to liberation. You see the devas, so your words are enigmatic, esoteric, cryptic, and telekinetic. And you know our secrets because you are telepathic. Om Nakhad vajaaya vidmahe, Padma Hastaaya Dhiimahi, Rahu prachodayat. Let us meditate on him who has a snake in his flag, he who has a lotus in his hand. Give us higher intellect, and let Rahu illuminate our minds. Om Rahu, you are the darkest hour of the night, a shadow being. You always distort the light. And you have no stomach, just an endless appetite. Your twisted thoughts are insane, tainted, and corrupt. Your backward motion makes you disturb and disrupt. Born an asura, you are heartless, uncaring, abrupt. You go too far and then become abusive. Your convoluted plots are so elusive. O master of secrets, your whereabouts are exclusive. Your forward motion is everyone else's reverse. Your normal makes every other thing become converse. Your whirlpools twist and turn until all is perverse. You cannot resist the allure of the fraudulent. Outside the laws of nature, you are impermanent. No one can ever trust your perverted intent. Your reputation is always notorious, O Rahu. Your way is so scandalous, on either side of where you live, it is treacherous. Thank you to Jeffrey Armstrong for letting me borrow his 2 poems about Ketu and Rahu, and the 2 Sanskrit mantras are variations on the famous Gayatri mantra. The time of eclipses is upon us again. The lunar eclipse arrives first this time. The solar eclipse follows 2 weeks later. Come with me into their shadow realm. Usually, you would want to plant a seed at the new moon for something you want to bring to fruition during the next month and see it flower at the full moon. But when those moons are eclipsed, your magics won't work the way they normally would. Either you won't get any result at all, or the result will have some perverse effects because the sun and moon are temporarily overpowered. They can't help you in the shadow realm. It's the power of the gods of the eclipses, Rahu and Ketu, that you have to invoke instead. And with the full moon eclipse coming first, the usual order of things is reversed. Since it's Ketu causing it, this full moon is not about manifesting things that you want, but about clearing away the chaff of your life. Ketum kmvana ketave, pesho mariam apeshase, samushad bahira jayata. You are the flag. Hold up your flag. Show us the road we can't see. Let the sun come up that lets us conquer our fear. Full moons bring fullness of feeling, but this one is not the fullness of joy. It's the fullness of being fed up. Ketu shows us where we have had too much of something and we're sick of it. Have you been feeling it? A little dizzy, perhaps? A little confused? Like you've got so much going on, it's hard to know in what order to do things? Have you been needing extra coffee to keep your mind focused? That's also the effect of Mars coming within range of Saturn. Your energy and initiative might be down, and Saturn is forcing you to pace yourself, more so than usual. Or perhaps you've gotten the urge to start your spring cleaning already. That's actually a good use of this energy. Ketu pares things down to only what is most essential. But most of all, you might have a nebulous feeling that something about your life isn't quite right. You may not know what it is, you can't quite define it, but by casting the moon and sun into shadow, eclipses reveal things that have been hidden. All the little insects scrambling around under rocks and fallen logs, the elephant in the room. This lunar eclipse will show you what has been wrong so you can face it head on. That is why the Rig Veda mantra for Ketu says, "Show us the road we can't see." Ketu is the body of a dragon with no head, which means he has no eyes. And yet you are asking him to be your eyes, describing Ketu in a way that it isn't normally, so he can then start behaving that way. Ketu is the shadow of disgust and revulsion. It shows you where you may have a high degree of skill in something, but it wasn't something you chose. It was thrust upon you, and it gives you no joy. You can even have a lot of rage and resentment surrounding whatever that thing is. It is hard for you to see the value of that experience. And Ketu is in the sign of Virgo by sidereal measurement. And what's Virgo all about? Finding everything that's wrong. All the details. Emotionally, this is not a pleasant place for Ketu to be. It can make people hypercritical. If Leo is the sign of the king, the president, the boss, Virgo is all of the corporate drones and civil servants who keep everything running smoothly. The wives who keep house for the husbands who have no idea of the invisible work going on behind the scenes that supports them. All the people who put out fires before real disaster ensues. If that describes you and your life at this time, now is the time to take an inventory of all the little things you do. Because it is likely to be a little thing that becomes your last straw, and your superior will be blindsided because to him, the explosion or collapse just comes out of nowhere. He can't or won't see the signs and he's apt to think you're the one who's crazy. So as I recite the seed mantra for Ketu, Om Kaim Ketave Namaha, ponder and scrutinize these things. How have the mundane, nitty-gritty details and requirements involved in going about your work placed unreasonable demands upon you? How have your superiors' expectations compromised your life in a way he or she cannot see? How might your superior have taken advantage of your excellent skills and not given you a fair price? If you are disabled or neurodivergent in any way, how has systemic ableism made your life much harder than it needs to be? Your superior probably has zero idea such barriers even exist because his life is already optimized to meet his needs. You yourself may not have been aware of those barriers until now. Once you become aware, what words can you find to explain it in a manner that is completely logical and not hypercritical? Because Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and what's Mercury really good at? Finding words for things. How can you spell out exactly what you would need to improve your life and your performance? How can you show that your requested accommodations are not selfish, not entitled, and would actually contribute to the bigger picture so you cannot be ignored any longer? Best of all, how can you quantify this with actual dollar amounts? Remember, a bean counter knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. Ketu and Virgo are both precise. Be prepared to show how any costs involved will be more than offset and improve the sacred bottom line. Virgo is nothing if not practical. Om Kaim Ketave Namaha, 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 Om Kaim Ketave Namaha. Once you have determined any or all of these Ketu in Virgo things, now and over the next 2 weeks, you will be ready to face the Rahu in the opposite sign of Pisces, which is going to be all about taking back your own power. This is the last of 3 great American eclipses that have happened within the past 7 years, visible as at least a partial from everywhere in the lower 48. It's very unusual for us to have that many so close together. It'll be 20 years before we get another. Are you feeling like this is it? This is our last stand. Either we decisively defeat the forces arrayed against us, or they'll drown us in a tsunami of zealotry. That's no accident. Pisces is the last of the water signs, with all the other planets clustered right around the eclipsed sun and moon, leaving only Ketu by himself on the other side of the sky. If Ketu makes you disgusted with something, Rahu makes you obsessed with something that is the opposite of that. An experience you haven't had yet. Symbolized by a dragon's head with no body, Rahu just eats and eats and eats, but can't assimilate anything. He gives you a voracious appetite for something you can't get enough of. This polarization sets you up for a false choice. You think you have to reject all of the Ketu thing in order to have any of the Rahu thing. But Pisces is not about attachment. It's about surrender, letting go of things. When Rahu lands here, again by sidereal reckoning, where the planets are actually seen against the stars, what do you get? On an individual level, It makes for escapism and substance addictions. But on a collective level, lies and misinformation, illusion, smoke and mirrors, and swallowing up every aspect of our lives. Because Rahu will do anything, say anything, to get what he wants, to usurp the power of the sun for himself. Does this remind you of anyone? We really need the laser of Ketu to cut through all of that, don't we? But setting aside the political implications of this, you can watch the Storytime video for that. That's a companion to this video. We want this ritual meditation to be about you. So ponder now how the sun helps you feel what your own power is. What is it that you do that makes you feel powerful? How might you lose or give away your power? How might you regain it again? The sun is the source of all power in our lives. Everything from photosynthesis to your cell phone, it's all powered by the sun. It all derives from the sun. He just shines and shines and shines, and it doesn't hurt him to radiate all that power and illuminate everything within range. The same is true of all stars. The constellations illuminate our lives too. But what about those times when the sun temporarily loses power? When he is eclipsed, swallowed up by the dragon's head? Have you ever become obsessed with a celebrity? It might be a movie star or a rock star, an athlete, sometimes even a political figure. And you think, oh my God, I wish I could be like you. I wish I could be you. I wish I had your life. Do you really? You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. What he had to do to claw his way to the top. Who he had to shaft along the way. Whether his success is being fueled by a drug addiction. Who he's fighting with. Who owns him because he owes them money or some other quid pro quo. What lies and deception he's having to resort to stay on top. 'Tis said, the higher the levels, the higher the devils. What are the odds you'd be able to handle all of that? When you say you wish you were someone else, what have you just done? You've just given away your power to this other person who doesn't need it. He already has plenty. Again, does this remind you of anyone? A particularly Rahu-like figure to whom a horde has hitched their wagons, believing he's the only one who can restore them to their lost power. We've all done this one way or another, when our admiration for someone crosses the line into obsession. Lady Gaga wrote a song about it called Paparazzi. So as I recite the seed mantra for Rahu now, Om Ram Rahuve Namaha, as the sun approaches its disappearance into the dragon's head to re-emerge bright as ever on the other side. Settle in, release all of the feelings that have obsessed and possessed you. Go deeper yet into the ocean of imagination and ponder. In your past, what have you done that has made you feel powerful, made you feel like your true self? What is it about this that makes you feel If you could just keep on doing it, you would illuminate the world. Have you ever lost this power at any point in your life? What or who took it away from you? And what argument did they use to convince you your power was selfish or foolish or against the will of God or whatever? Have you ever willingly given away your power to someone you admire, idolizing them as someone who is or has everything you wish you could be or have? How can you admire someone, emulate them in some way, do something good that's similar to the example they've set, without thinking only they can save you? Have you ever felt forced to give your power away to someone who seemingly has the power of life and death over you? This could be an authority figure, a lover, a teacher or guru, someone where there is not an equal exchange of your energies, someone who uses shame to control you. Which is it? How, in fact, they might need you more than you need them, and leverage that awareness to regain your own power. If it's a parental figure who overwhelmed your power, back in the day you might not have had any control over or choice about them imposing their own obsessions and revulsions upon you, or their expectations about how you should fulfill their obsessions and revulsions. But now you do have the choice. How can you feel your true self within yourself without their disappointment or past conditioning running your show? How can you use the insights you gained from the lunar eclipse, all the little ways you've been compromised without knowing it, to regain your power? The eclipsing Rahu might give you a flash of intuitive inspiration, a genius solution to a problem, without you knowing how you got there. How can you then reverse engineer it, illuminating the steps it would take so other people can see it too? What else could you do that would make you feel powerful again? It might involve talents you forgot you had because they've been eclipsed. If you perceive yourself to be powerless, how much might you be motivated by rage and revenge, or even by fear, to get your power back? If you were motivated by love and being generous, what would that look like? To feel the sun growing in strength within your heart. Remember, the sun is the king, and the king does what is best for the good of the kingdom. What can you do that would elevate the lives of at least a few people who really do have less power than you, to shine your light that way and become powerful thereby? It could be reading books to children, rescuing animals, advocating for the disabled. You may have to start small, but pick one and build on it. You never know what will happen, what opportunities will open up. Khaya nashchitra bahuvduti sadavrata sakha khaya sachichtaya vrata. How can we make you resplendently clear, O friendly, ever-prosperous messenger of the skies? How can we fulfill our heart's desire? Om Ram Rahuve Namaha, 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 Om Ram Rahuve Namaha. And now, as you come back from the ocean of imagination to the present place and time, we will bring this circle to a close. And observe how I'm using the same words I used for the invocations of the elements. That's because now that you've heard what the eclipses mean, you will start to understand why they're phrased that way. How keep our heads and sure-footed for Earth are Rahu and Ketu, respectively. The still moonlit pond of water calms the agitation of Rahu, while the current of forgiveness calms the bitterness of Ketu. Fires acting with courage, not in hate or disgust, tempers Ketu, and acting in faith, not fear or rash impulse, tempers Rahu. And airs discernment to scrutinize our pains, to speak with kindness and detachment, elevates Ketu from its default setting, and telling false from true, seeing clearly through the smoke of illusion, does the same for Rahu. We thank you, Lords Rahu and Ketu. We thank you, God of the sun. We thank you, Goddess of the moon. We thank you, divine beings, male, female, both and neither, for coming closer to us this night. May our eyes reflect your light, that we may see through the shadows. We do not dismiss you, for that would not be possible. We thank you for your wisdom and strength. All hail. Those generations yet to come, we thank you for joining us in this sneak preview of your next lives. We hope it will give you hidden wisdom when your time upon the stage arrives. Go if you must, stay if you will. Hail and farewell. Those generations who brought us here, we thank you for joining us in this exploration of what your lives meant. We hope that what we have done this night will help bring you to peacefulness. Go if you must, stay if you will. Hail and farewell. Guardians of the watchtowers of the north, spirits of earth, we thank you for joining us this night. Help us keep our heads and sure-footed as we walk through shadows, standing firm and strong upon the stone. Go if you must, stay if you will. Hail and farewell. Guardians of the watchtowers of the west, spirits of water, we thank you for joining us this night. Make our minds as still as a moonlit pond, that we may float upon a current of forgiveness, gently restoring truth and bliss to our souls. Go if you must, stay if you will. Hail and farewell. Guardians of the watchtowers of the south, spirits of fire, we thank you for joining us this night. Grant us true will to know the source of our power, not driven by the past, to act with courage, not in hate or disgust, to act in faith, not fear nor rash impulse. Go if you must, stay if you will. Hail and farewell. And guardians of the watchtowers of the east, spirits of air, we thank you for joining us this night. Give us discernment to scrutinize our pains, to speak with kindness and detachment, and to tell false from true, seeing clearly through the smoke of illusion. Go if you must, stay if you will. Hail and farewell. The circle is open, but never broken. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again. The Sanskrit mantras that I used in this ritual, with their transliterations and translations, will be posted in the video description so you can use them during the actual eclipses when the times come. See you under the stars.